remember that moment when I stepped out of the rat race and I could suddenly define my own schedule. I have an idea that is really burning inside of me. I'm doing it. If I don't do it, if I don't take the time, the 5 minutes at the end of the day to think about the next day, I think, well, what am I going to start the day with? And my day is very complex. My work doesn't feel like a burden or so any longer. It really feels like I'm living my dream. I think the world is more divided between very conscious people now, and they are on the next spiritual level, and very low frequency people, unfortunately. Let's see what's going to happen. I hope it's just a pendulum moment, that the pendulum is now on the other side, and hopefully it's going to swing back and we move us to the next level. And even scrolling on social media has become really, really tiring lately. That's another dosage I have.
They're really bombarding the people with so much information.
It's really a lot of crap. And even with artificial intelligence, it's so easy now to produce audiovisual material for Instagram, etc. And everything seems artificial now. I'm always asking myself, is this person real that is in the ad?
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the Vibe Higher with Gigi podcast. I am Gigi. Today we have a super special, awesome guest, Dorothy Fischer. I'm going to read off a little bit of her bio. She created a company and found a perfect balance between professional life, including her dream house in the mountains of Valencia. She runs an international communications agency, a sustainable development and human rights project. She's a person with two different hats. She also is a business coach and supports particularly women in their careers and personal development. And she juggles a patchwork of family. She calls it a patchwork family of 6. So Dorothy was born in Germany, but she's been living in Spain for the past 18 years. And she used to work for the UN. I met Dorothy at the I Am Creation retreat, and I was just impressed by her sweetness and also by all the things that she has accomplished and done in her life, which everybody knows, takes an amount of discipline. And we did a business coaching session with the Honorable Joe Che, the coaching, the business coach, and he was also taking it back. So many things that Dorothy has done, and I'm very happy to have her here today. Welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you so much, Gigi. It's so nice to connect with you again.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for being here. Is there something you would like to add to the intro?
You said I worked at the UN. Actually, I wasn't working directly at the UN. I'm working with the UN. I'm working with international organizations, and I used to work for different EU-funded programs. So before I became a freelancer and created my own agency, I was working in international projects by the EU. And the UN is one of my clients, basically, for my communications agency, just to get that right, because I wasn't a member of staff at the UN. But I did an internship, and I keep working with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And could you give us a bit of an insight as to where you were back then as in comparison to where you are right now in your life?
Yeah, I mean, they're different phases of my life, I would say. One was obviously when I was a younger person, 20 years ago. I always had actually quite a clear vision of the overall things that I like in life. Maybe that's a good thing of saying, or how to say it, because I always loved communications and I always loved languages, and I was always very interested in human rights and international affairs. I think that was maybe the framework that I was moving in, and that's already since I was a student. Also, maybe another element was arts and culture, but that was also more on a private level, I would say. I wasn't sure if that could be a profession for me, so I concentrated more on the communications work. I also gained experience as a journalist, and I love actually putting different contents into different formats. That's maybe how I could summarize that part. And I embarked on that journey through different jobs and experiences, and I really liked it. But I came to a point when I had my first kids, my first 2 daughters, I find it really difficult to juggle both the job and my daughters, because what happens is when you have children, they fall ill. There are things that, come in unexpectedly. And I was already living in Spain and didn't have support of any grandparents. So I realized that this 9-to-5 working model was really out of fashion for me. It really didn't work any longer. And that became a strong urge. How can I get out of that system? But I still believe in the projects. I still believe in the ideas. I mean, many of the projects were dealing with human rights, sustainable development, and similar issues. So the contents were good, but just the framework didn't work any longer. And that was the moment when I became a freelancer. That was a big step out of my comfort zone. I can tell you that, because obviously as a young mom, I wasn't sure, would I earn enough money? Would I have enough clients and projects? But it was such a liberation. I remember that moment when I stepped out of the rat race and I could suddenly define my own schedule. Like,
Mm.
and if
From
you,
home.
yeah, I mean, that was a big new thing for me. Like, if I want to go to the gym on a Wednesday morning, I just go. I don't have to justify why I'm not in the office. And at the beginning, I felt strange about that. I felt like I have to tell somebody why I'm not available now online or whatever. But then I got used to that, and now I really work results based. That has changed a lot. And even in the evolution, I then created my own agency. I also have a network of people that work with me now, and I
Oh,
allow them the same freedom. Because I don't
oh
believe
yeah.
like over control system of, like when you have people working with you, you work on the same objectives and you want to see
Mm.
the results. I don't care if, a member of my staff works at 5 in the morning or at 10 in the evening.
Oh.
I just define certain objectives when to get them done. And they love working with me for that reason, because they have their own families. Some of them don't even have kids. It's not about the kids only. It's about defining your own, like schedule. And if you want to go to the gym or want to go for the walk at the beach, you can do that, and then you come back refreshed and even with new energy and ideas. So
Mm.
yeah, that was a huge evolution.
Just a choice in management, right? It's just giving them the flexibility of working their own hours as long as the work is done. Because a lot of the times in my experience with 9 to 5 environments, a lot of the time is like spent chatting with people. It's not actually I think like maybe 70% of the time people are doing their work. And you could be doing other stuff, walking the dog, which makes you happy, and yeah, going to the gym and flying out of an airplane if that suits you.
And it's funny because I do a lot of strategic work and even a lot of creative work, and that doesn't fit at all into the 9 to 5 schedule, because, I cannot switch on creativity. I cannot switch on flow. I need to create a certain environment and an atmosphere, and then it works. And often it works when I'm actually not at work, like not at my desk. Like I have the
Oh,
best
yeah.
ideas sometimes when I drive, when I go for a walk, when I'm in the shower, whatever, sometimes I go for a swim on purpose to come. So all of that.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that when they are like in these very rigid institutional frameworks. They don't understand that creativity has a different rhythm and flow. But yeah,
Yeah.
now since I no longer have to justify that, I just do it and I define my own, like even my boundaries. And when I'm not available, I'm not available for certain clients, and it works. They accept it.
Oh, yeah, that's a big, yeah, it's a big one. When, like, depending, a balance between, like, getting the income from, like, the income that you need doing the work and setting boundaries to respect, like, where you are at and your nervous system. Because a lot of the time, like, the best ideas and the most level-headed thinking is, especially in creative environments, is when your nervous system is relaxed, right? So if you go in the
Exactly.
shower, you walk in nature, you spend time with loved ones or with your dog or like it's when you're relaxed.
But a lot of people are still in this old like framework of work, and they don't understand. Even sometimes they don't understand what creative thinking or strategic thinking means. They don't understand that I'm sitting at my desk and I'm thinking, why are you not working? Yes, I'm working actually very hard because I'm working here in my mind. It's like
Right.
they're very used to like seeing production somehow or productivity. And now everything is changing also with AI, obviously the way we work in general, because some of the like more repetitive tasks can be now automated. But the strategic thinking is still something you need a lot of experience, history of the projects, etc. It's very hard to fully substitute that with a machine.
Yeah, I'd like to know about this strategic thinking. Like maybe you could elaborate a little bit about implementation. Because what I'm very curious, like how you do everything that you have done in your life. Like we're almost the same age, and I feel like, I mean, it's everyone's on their own path. But like you have a family, you have kids, you have like 2 companies, and I listened to the other podcast you were on with Debbie, and you were like the second, like you don't. When we have an idea and you implement it, the distance between the 2 things is very like thin. So you don't overthink stuff. And so maybe you could talk about a little about that, like strategic thinking and how you organize your life in the way that you do.
It has also changed, I can tell you. That wasn't the case maybe like 15 years ago. So, well, first of all, I'm reaching an age now where I don't want to postpone things any longer. I'm almost 50 and I feel like, okay, if I don't do it now, when will I be ready? And, you never know what's going to happen if you're still healthy and strong in 10 years time. I hope yes, but you never know. So I just feel whatever I want to achieve in life and I have an idea that is really burning inside of me, I'm doing it. Like I'm not postponing it for the next 5 years. Although there are ideas within me that were born like 5 years ago or longer. I'm doing one thing this year I'm really super excited about. And that's an idea that has been within me for a long time. But I just said, I feel that the air or the context is ripe now and I want to do it. It's a walk through the Alps with a group of women. And we're walking like for a week in the Alps from, hotel to hotel, like accommodation to accommodation. And yeah, it's like a mixture of coaching and walking. And I'm super excited about that because it's an idea I had a long time ago, but I just felt I'd never had time for it.
Okay.
So this year I just blocked it in my agenda because I felt this isn't like last year it wouldn't have felt right. This year it felt right. So what I do is I block like a space in my agenda, and that's untouchable. Like a client of mine asked me this week about the same week where I'm organizing this walk, and I said, "No, I'm sorry, you're asking too late. This week is already taken. It's not negotiable." I mean, that's one of the techniques I'm applying. I'm really saving days, or I'm blocking certain moments in my agenda that cannot be touched, and either for the family or for my projects, or like really what is important to me, and that can be a private thing or it can be a professional thing, or a very personal one as well. So, like the retreat in Bali where we got to know each other, I felt the calling last year in March already. I wanted to go to the March retreat, but it just didn't work out because it was my daughter's birthday at the same time, and it just wasn't the right moment. But I really felt a very, very strong calling to go to Bali. So I decided already in March, I'm going in November. So I blocked it and I went. Yeah. And then maybe the other technique, because you're asking also about techniques and maybe also what kind of advice I can give to others, is that I spend quite a lot of time, even like every week, brainstorming what is important, like what are my priorities, what are the to-dos. That's very practical now. It's really coming down to very practical techniques. And I'm realizing that I'm quite good at it because I'm also working these things with the people I coach. And I organize them by priorities. And every day before finishing my day of work, like before closing down my computer, I'm going back to this document with the priorities and the to-dos, and I'm reorganizing them. And basically I'm putting them in a chronological order. So when I finish off the workday, I know exactly what I'm going to start with the next day. And the other technique I'm doing in there is like, I'm putting in very small things. Like I have to call the dentist for my daughter, like even like private things. I have to update this document. I have to check whatever. So I'm doing like I'm putting it, like I'm squeezing it down to very small, doable tasks, and I'm putting them in the right order. And I'm revising that every day.
Okay.
It sounds like very freaky, but actually what happens is I'm extracting the baby steps, and the baby steps feel so doable. Versus the huge vision goal.
It's not overwhelming.
Exactly, the mountain. And that happened after the retreat in Bali, because I remember we had some discussions with some of the other participants the month afterwards. How are you doing? Have you been implementing some of the stuff? And I realized, I had been implementing loads of it because I had taken 3 days after the retreat just to be with myself, to write down all the ideas that came up in Bali, all the things I wanted to do in the future. And I already put them into order, like, okay, like by month or by period, when could I do what? And then I brought it down to a very practical level. And then I started implementing one step after the other. It sounds a bit freaky, but in the end, it's very practical, and it's very easy to do it if it has become one of your habits. I really changed my habits, that this is like no effort. It's really effortless. And if I don't do it, if I don't take the time, the 5 minutes at the end of the day to think about the next day, I sometimes get a little bit nervous because then I think, well, what am I going to start the day with? And my day is very complex. That's the other thing. We're 6 in our family. Plus I have my company where I have employees. I have 10 different projects going on that need different. Often I don't want to be the bottleneck. That's the other thing. Often I have to give a quick answer.
Oh yeah.
And then 5 people can keep on working. But if I don't give the answer, everything stops.
Right.
So I'm aware of that. So I take the time to sit down. Okay, where's the bottleneck? Where do they need answers? What does my team need of me? Okay, I'll give the answer. Then they can continue working. But I need to sit down and think about these things. So this is why it's so important for me to sit down at least twice a day to think about, okay, where am I? What is needed? What can maybe be shifted to next week because it's not priority? And what really needs to be done now, either for the family or the work. Because some of the people I've been coaching with, they didn't see their private to-do list as part of their to-do list. That was funny. I had this one time experience with a coach. She was overwhelmed all the time, and she didn't realize that her private to-do list was also time consuming. And she hadn't figured that out, that it was part of her, like,
that's still to do. Right?
Exactly, because she just thought that wasn't when she had extra time or something like this, and I tried to explain it. No, and for me, everything's fused together. I know when my daughter needs to have her appointment with the doctor, I need to call the doctor today, whatever, to have the appointment next week, and I cannot call the doctor at 10 in the evening when I'm done with all the rest. You see, so I know when to do what, and for me, this is where work and life fuses in one, but also because my work doesn't feel like a burden or so any longer. It really feels like I'm living my dream.
You love
this
what you
is
do.
The kind of dream job I always wanted to have, and I love it. So this is why work, and life is one.
And so practically speaking, these are to-do lists that you put in Excel sheets, or the important matter is that you give yourself those 5 minutes twice a day to think about it, no matter if it's written on paper or if it's written on an Excel sheet or in an app.
There are people that use AI for that, or some kind of tools, Notion or whatever. There are loads of apps for that can do it. And you know
Good
what?
Notes.
I just use a Word document, but it doesn't really matter because what matters is the reflection moment to think, okay, what do I have to do and what's the order? And then you write it down somewhere. And also, I think it's important that you leave it written somewhere. Could be in an app, can be in a paper, it doesn't matter, because then you free your mind of it. Because I know it's there.
Right.
So it also has a very liberating moment for my mind. It's gone. And no preoccupation. I can go to bed and sleep well because I know everything's set up for tomorrow and I don't have to worry about it.
So your energy is not fragmented.
Yeah. And the worst thing is actually also, or the worst thing happens when I then check my emails too late. And I think that has happened to anybody here listening today. When you check your emails too late and you suddenly have an email that requires action and you read that just before going to bed, that's the worst thing you can do because then you think about it all night.
And it's so easy to it's so easy to access.
So this is why even for me, this like closing ritual in the evening has become quite important because I really close this like Doro productivity moment. And then it can just be Doro being with a family, playing board games, reading a book, watching Netflix, whatever, being with friends. But I don't have to produce anything any longer. That's very important. And maybe that's also part of how I function. I'm a person who produces a lot all the time. And I love it in a way. But I also need to switch off. And this is why I do a lot of other things like yoga and, like singing. I take guitar lessons and all that kind of things to be in the present moment. This is something I have to force myself.
Or not force or just be, right? There's the Doro work and then there's the Doro being, right?
And when I was in Bali, I was being, and I loved it. I even refused to do something the last night when we all performed. I just felt like I went to bed that last night. So funny. And I feel a bit sorry because I missed some of the performances of the others. But my body was saying,
comedy.
You're so tired, Doro. You just have to let it all sink in. And I didn't want to perform or produce or anything. And I know usually I would love to do this because I love doing these things, but I just didn't feel like the right moment. And this is maybe also where I accept what my body tells me or what, I can listen to myself and I'm not forcing myself to anything any longer. That's also...
And it's listening to yourself, yeah.
What is actually doing me good right now. And then I just listen. And I don't have to be... The FOMO, Doro, has disappeared, the fear of missing out. Yeah.
All the time. It's the joy of missing out. It's the JOMO.
I hadn't heard of that one. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
You spoke a little bit about your human rights work and your work in relation to human rights. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, this is
it's a big question.
I have to basically a lot of the projects I still deal with through my communications agency are somehow linked to human rights. Not all of them. I mean, there are also some others like sustainable development or some cultural projects, etc. But it has been a linking element, a lot of the things I've done in my life. And at a very early age, I already had a very strong interest in human rights. This was one of my topics. I did an internship at the Council of Europe, which is one of the most important human rights organizations in Europe, or maybe even worldwide, because there's the the European Court of Human Rights. And so it has been like a recurrent element in what I've been doing. And I think a subtopic in that I'm really interested in are women's rights, because I feel, being a woman myself and having experienced glass ceiling, discrimination, and all sorts of things throughout my life, I think we all have one or the other story there. I just felt this very strong urge to support other women. And that's what I'm doing now a lot, also through my coaching work, but also partly with the communication projects. For example, I did a major communications campaign in the Central African Republic on gender-based violence 2-3 years ago. That was really, really interesting and impactful. I spoke with a lot of testimonials of violence. And this is maybe the activist Doro that has been there also from a very early age onwards. And I just feel that when I can, I want to contribute to making this world a better world. And, also I believe a lot in equality, that we're all equal and we should all have the same opportunities. And if I can, through my work, contribute to that, I'm super happy. It really makes me happy to see that I can support others.
And do you work with big agencies in gender-based violence, or,
for example, that one was a
communities
project funded through the European Union, and I implemented the communications part of that. So I was working on a campaign. I worked with local collaborators. I worked with local artists, for example. That's really interesting because, when you work in Africa, sometimes the way we work in the Western world doesn't fit. You have to work a lot with radio. You have to work a lot with visual communication because, there's a high illiteracy. So when you want to reach women or like victims of violence, but also obviously men, you have to work more with visual. So we worked a lot on exhibitions and with local artists. That was really great. Yeah. So that was a project funded by the European Union, but it was implemented with the local ministry and with local collaborators.
Because women in general need to work harder to get. I mean, in general, and it's not all the time. It's like they need to prove themselves a bit more than, especially in the artistic field, which I'm noticing in my work in comedy and also in DJing. It's like you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way. I don't know. It's just my experience. I don't know.
It's not only in the arts and culture. I can tell you in the international affairs and politics, it's very, very hard to be a woman as well. And I was thinking lately a lot about concepts like typical female or male leadership. What does it mean? How much are we accepted? And in general, I still believe very strongly in a more female way of doing things, meaning more working on empathy, working on the connections and the common ground versus showing your power and, being the strongest in the room. But then obviously you look around the world right now and you see all these old male leaders that have so much power and decide so many things, going towards conflicts rather than
super old.
Yes, exactly. They will not even live the consequences of their doing, unfortunately. But and it's really, I guess today, for example, I saw this peace movement again of women from Palestine, Israel, Iran, Lebanon. They're all working together. And I interviewed this movement last year. I did an article on them, and they continue their work. They just walked bare feet in Rome, and they're going to meet the Pope tomorrow, I think. And one of their messages was, we're all mothers. We want our children to live and have a future. We want, we don't have any interest in conflict and war. We want to create a peaceful future for all of them, and we want to work together. These women had no problems in working together. And it's so funny. Why do the men have all these problems? That the women, we're bearing the children, and we want to see a future for them. So that's also very strong.
It's in a community level, when people get together, those bigger issues like the bombings and the division between the people don't actually exist on a human level, like in a societal level. We're just like bombarded by all these images of division and war and like bombs, but in reality, we're just human. We're trying to like do the best that we can in our lives.
And
But
we're all
yeah,
one. I mean, I'm a very spiritual person as well. So I think we're actually all connected and we're all one. So if we realized that, we wouldn't start any war any longer, it wouldn't make any sense. But yeah, I think the world is more and more divided between very conscious people now, and they are on the next spiritual level, and very low frequency people, unfortunately. So let's see what's going to happen. I hope it's just a pendulum moment, and that the pendulum is now on the other side, and hopefully it's going to swing back and we move us to the next level. We'll see.
So do you think like this war industrial complex it's going to dissipate eventually with all these that are in power now, or is it just gonna continue because it's been around for hundreds or
You mean the wars?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, wars would probably always exist. It's just that now the whole world order is changing. We had a world order after World War II, more or less, with the international law, etc., and most of the countries would accept that. And now more and more countries are actually doing whatever they want. They're not respecting any international law, and that's creating quite a chaos. So I hope that this is just a momentum. I read, the Dr. Hawkins scale of frequencies, and like from the lower frequencies to the higher ones. And I read his whole book again recently, and he was even talking about leaders like Hitler or Napoleon, who started on a high frequency level when they started their careers and they started in like their imperialism, and they ended up on a very, very low level. That's a bit like, when I read that, I thought, wow, that's giving me a bit of hope, because I feel this is a bit like it's the rise before the fall. People like Trump, etc., I think they will eventually fall because, they've just stretched it too far, and people will start noticing. And I think it's already happening. I think the support for these kind of leaders is already going down. Let's see, we have elections in Hungary coming up, I think this weekend. So yeah, we'll see. But I think, it's also when people, they act out of fear, they also tend to vote more for very populist, easy leaders, because they offer them easy solutions. But when they realize that maybe these solutions weren't that easy and actually makes them even their lives more expensive. But that's happening right now in Iran. We've seen this additional war, and basically we have to pay more money for petrol. That has a direct impact on our life. Or we can't do certain travel any longer because, certain airports are closed. So
yeah, they're trying to limit our capacity to move with the prices and the inflation going up.
well, it's a bit of a crazy world. So I think in those crazy times, it's so important to focus on the things that you can influence, and the community is very important, and doing small things that spark joy and bring you together with other like-minded people. It's very important to keep up, like your inner peace and optimism despite all those challenges.
So like, could it help to just like shut off the TV and not be able to consume all this stuff that's coming from the media, and then take care of what you need to be doing, depending on whether your work is affected by these global influences?
Interesting question. Obviously, my work is very much linked to geopolitics. I can't switch off the TV as such. I don't have a TV, so
Nobody has a TV
for me,
anymore.
that's a symbolic thing. I don't watch any TV, but I do consume news on my mobile, on the internet, etc. So like switching off the TV is easy, but like switching off the news is maybe more difficult. But then I think you have to rationalize the amount of news you want to let in. That's really an interesting question, because when I was younger and I started my career, I had moments where I was really addicted to the news. And I'm a journalist, and there was a crisis moment. So I was listening to the news all day and checking what was happening and how it was evolving. Eventually ended up really energy drained. So what I do now is I let it in. I have moments, for example, I read the news every morning. That's like my news 10 minutes or so. I have my app on my phone, and I have like a German one and a Spanish one, and sometimes also an English one. Like I know exactly the medium.
Intellectual.
So also, it's interesting also to contrast different countries and how they report about things. Very interesting. I can tell you. You see if they're more pro Israel or less pro Israel. So you understand how certain articles are written. It's good to trigger off that reflection to also see it a bit with distance. Person who says switch off the news completely, because my husband is a little bit like this. It's funny. Lately, he hasn't been consuming a lot of news. And I sometimes find it annoying because he didn't really know that there was a war in Iran until I told him and said, like 3 days later. So I think it's still good to know what's happening in the world, but to also have a dosage that is healthy for you, that doesn't affect you in a way that it creates anxiety or any bad feelings, because you cannot control it. You have to keep telling yourself, it's not my fault, or it's not, I can't control the war in Iran. I can't stop it. I can maybe go and manifest on the street if I feel like doing that. If that makes me feel better, go and manifest, in your city. If there is a manifestation,
go on the streets.
Yeah, on the streets, and you can do that. But just make sure that you also take care of yourself and keep strong yourself, because you won't change the world if you feel bad and depressed at home. That won't help anyone. So I even like scrolling on social media has become really, really tiring lately. That's another dosage I have. Like
they're really bombarding the people with so much information that
exactly.
That is,
it's really a lot of crap. And even with artificial intelligence, I think this is another movement I see now. It's so easy now to produce audiovisual material for Instagram, etc. And you get all these feeds and you get all this, like everything seems artificial now. I'm always asking myself, is this person real that is in the ad?
Is that a real elephant?
Yeah, no, seriously. And like all the good looking women, like perfect bodies. I get like these Asian Pilates ads and all these crap things. And so obviously this is another thing.
What is Asian I don't understand. That's AI, by the way.
Exactly, that's completely AI. That's not a natural body.
I don't know.
But so this is the kind of stuff I really delete, or don't want to consume any longer. And I have friends that are stepping away from social media more and more because
for their mental health.
Exactly, because there's so much crap, and I really want to decide more and more what I consume. And it's just like I'm bombarded by a lot of things that are not contributing to anything. For example, even for my kids, I have like 3 + 1 daughters.
+1?
Yeah, +1 is my bonus child, and I'm trying to limit a lot the use of short videos. Like my 10-year-old, she got completely addicted to the short formats on YouTube, and I have had to limit that a lot because she couldn't stop. And the way YouTube suggests you one video after the other, she would get really creepy things, and that like she wouldn't learn anything from that, and she would even have strange ideas afterwards. So this is the way the world is working right now, and this is something we have to limit a lot and be aware of it.
Because I remember I was hanging out with my friend. She has 3 kids, and we were around the dinner table, and it was when TikTok just came out, which is just not a long time ago, and they were just flipping and scrolling, and one after I was and it was fun to hang out with them, but they were the phone was a big asset.
At my dinner table, phones are prohibited for both adults and children. No phones when we eat together.
Because human to human interaction is
exactly
amazing too. But awesome. Can you so now you're coaching women for them to help them organize their business, or what kind of coaching?
It depends. It's funny because again, I did this coaching training 2 years ago with Mind Valley, and was a business coaching program.
Oh yeah.
Because basically that's what resonated most with me. I'm a business owner myself. I love developing my own projects, so that really resonated with me. Then during the coaching training, we had to do trial coaching sessions to get to receive the certificate, because you have to show that you've done a certain number of hours before being certified. So I put it out in a few networks, and I have this network of Germans working in international organizations that I'm part of. And one woman actually, she posted an ad herself saying, I'm looking for a business or career coach that could help me, and somebody who understands international organizations. So I just wrote to her, look, by the way, I'm not certified yet, but I can do this for free because I'm still learning. And I think from that post, I got like 8 coaches or something like this. A lot of people saw that post and they said, yeah, can you also coach me? So this is when I realized, okay, apart from the like pure business coaching, what I can really do is also do career coaching, help people really on their career paths, if they are young or if they're in the middle of their careers or wherever they are right now. I can probably help them because I've been through a lot myself, and I know all the like questions that women have in their different, in these different steps.
And you have
then
experience in that
exactly,
as an entrepreneur, right?
yeah, exactly. Also, yeah, and then I just, once I was certified, I kept doing it. I also kept posting about it a little bit more on social media. And I just, my philosophy until today is still, whoever has resonance with me will find me. And because I'm not even doing a lot of ads or so, my coaching services, from time to time, I do a post on social media, but it's a lot about recommendations and people just feeling that you're the right fit for them. So I also did some life coaching in between, because there was this one woman that said, yeah, I really feel that you're the right person because I have some issues with my husband and also with my family. And since you live in this patchwork family constellation, maybe there are things that you can help me with. And I coached her for 6 months and then she was fine. So, I'm not the kind of person that works too much in very rigid categories. I feel I'm expanding all the time. I'm evolving and learning new things, and people will find me if I can help them. And that the experience so far has been really, really great, because I had really very nice coaching experiences and I keep on doing it. And in addition to the coaching sessions, I've started developing other formats like retreats. I did 2 retreats, like one yoga retreat with a friend of mine and a shorter retreat in January. And now I'm doing this. Yeah, exactly. And then I'm doing now this walk in the Alps, which is a bit of a mixture of like coaching, but also like a safe space for women to be together, being out there in nature, connecting, getting rid of the news for a week, and being really
no data
in a
no
nice
Wi-Fi.
place, and getting some sports, even like physical exercise, is also really nice. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be end of June. If somebody is listening and feels the calling, I still have a few places available, and I only have 10 maximum. So once they're full, they're full. Yeah.
Awesome. And that's in the Alps. Okay. So,
yeah,
so
exactly.
you have a limit.
Germany and Austria. Yeah. Maybe for some of the listeners, this is very far away, but yeah, for me, it's around the corner. It's Europe is really easy to go from one country to the other.
Awesome. Yeah, there's no borders. Yeah, I think you answered my next topic is like what you are excited about in your life and what you are excited about in where the world is heading. If you could find something that's...
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is I keep on setting me new goal setting, like the one that I just told you about. The Alps was an idea I've been having for 5 years, and now I'm doing it, and really sparks me a lot of joy that I'm creating this. I'm also creating a women's circle in parallel. I'm starting that in May. So I've laid out a bit like the year. I've made like a few like milestones activities that I'm launching this year. And most of them are already laid out. And in addition to that, I planned a few trips that I really want to do this year. One is coming up next week. I'm going to London with my family. And it's funny, we've never been to London as a family.
Awesome.
My girls have never been there. And it's really exciting for me because London was one of the first cities I visited as a teenager when I was young. And I remember this like, wow, excitement of being in such a big city with a lot of things to do. And the other funny thing is, this is a bit personal, but I'm saying it all the same because I know you're also a spiritual person. I'm telling you like a bit of a storytelling. One of the things that happened in Bali was during the breathwork session with Dr. Espen. I had I had a very big visualization around the male lineage of my family, and like a message that got to me, you have to heal the male lineage of the family. And I was a bit confused. I had received a similar message 2 months earlier in a Kundalini yoga session, and I had done a lot of healing work around the female lineage of my family. So that maybe that line is already healed or something like this. And I even felt like, I didn't feel that it's I don't know, why should I also heal the male lineage? So that was like a question that came in, why me again? Like, why are you choosing me all the time?
You?
Yeah, exactly. This is a bit like, okay. But it really stayed with me. And I had like certain visions around the house where I grew up. And I came back with this very strong vision. I have to go and heal the house, clean the house. And funny enough, I met somebody during the retreat that helped me do that. So it's also, how synchronicities work. And I did that in January. I was at my mom's house and I did some energy cleaning of the house. It was my mom's birthday. And I suddenly had this idea, God, Canada. And I have a project in Canada that
Wow.
started last year. And suddenly there was this word Canada popping up. So I said to my mom, wasn't there somebody on Dad's side of the family that moved to Canada? Because my dad died a few years ago, so I can't ask my dad any longer. But suddenly this question popped up. And she said, yeah, I think it was his half brother that moved to Canada, but he died already quite a long time ago because, my father was the second family of his father. So his own father was 30 years older. And there was a whole first family on my male lineage side that I never
Your father.
that I never got to know.
That you just found out about?
I knew more or less, but you see how they're things that are never talked about in your families. And that was one of it. There was I knew somehow there was this half brother and there was apparently another half brother, but my dad never talked about it. And when I was younger, I didn't realize that these were the questions I should probably have asked him when he was still alive. And so I asked my mom, wasn't there somebody in Canada? And she said, yeah, there was this half brother, but he's already dead. And so I asked her, is there maybe somebody still alive? She said, yeah, I think he had a son. And then she looked up in her papers when I was there. And she found the name and I Googled it.
Your half brother?
It's my cousin. It's
okay.
Anyways, it's my half cousin. But anyways, I found this name. I Googled it. I wrote him an email and he wrote back to me. And we had the most amazing exchange, healing exchange about our family ever. And this person, just to round it off, lives in London.
Whoa.
And I'm
Where,
going to
close
meet him
to you?
next week. Something's even moving in my heart when I'm saying it. I feel I'm closing a circle. And the funny thing is my girls had already said to me several times, we want to go to London. And then when I found out, wow, this half cousin is in London and I feel that we're doing some healing work around our family because we never knew about each other.
Right. Because the healing work that you do affects future generations, but also past generations. They are up there
and
thanking you.
Really, this has been amazing. And even this person didn't even know that my dad had died, and apparently had met my dad just before his death, 1 year before his death. They did some business together, I think, something like this. And actually, my dad left some money to me when he died. And actually, I think it's his cousin's money. In the way, money is also energy. And with that money, I bought my dream house. Do you see how this is also energetically? It feels everything is connected. And I feel I'm just there's a big healing moment now coming up. And a big relief for my whole family. It's very funny, but
and you got that message during the
retreat. Exactly. That's why I wanted to tell you the story. It seems like, okay, Dora's just going to London with her family. No. There's a whole thing behind it. And I'm super excited about that, about this healing moment, because I realized I'm probably the black sheep in my family because I'm the one who moved away and I needed to move very far away to, do my own healing work. But now I'm actually the enabler for all the others. I don't know. I'm shifting all the things in the family so that, they're better. They're better off. And
do they appreciate it, or
my mom has changed a lot. I've done a lot of healing on her side as well. It wasn't consciously saying, Dora's going to heal the female lineage. It wasn't like this was a step-by-step thing, but there were different experiences. My mom used to be an alcoholic, for example. She used to have an alcohol problem. And I did a family constellation around that. And after that, she stopped drinking. Can you believe that? Yeah. And again, I don't want to be I don't want to credit for that. I just realized that there was an issue and I couldn't control it myself. I couldn't tell my mom, okay, stop drinking. I mean, I could say it to her, but I couldn't stop her from doing it. But I needed a healing activity myself. So I went to this family constellation and I said, okay, I'm Doro, I'm here, and I'm the daughter of 2 alcoholics, and I want to work on that. And then we did the constellation, and after that addiction energy was gone in the family.
It's powerful, because a lot of the time the healing that we do within ourselves affect the other generations, even though we don't do it with them, we do it in relation to them. And then somehow, if it's a powerful work of healing, then it hopefully affects other people.
I never told my mama. I never told her that I did
Yeah.
that because I don't need to get any credit for this. But I'm so happy that my mom is better because she has changed after that. She doesn't drink any longer, and I think she feels that she has more energy. She feels better, or even health wise, has improved a lot. So that's really positive.
And there was a little bit of a gap between. Well, it was just like right after you had done the family constellation, or
I think it was like 3 weeks afterwards that she rang me and she told me, "Yeah, I stopped drinking."
that is powerful.
So I believe in all of this stuff, and I think you can move these energies, and especially if you feel them, you're probably the one who has the power to influence that.
It's inspiring.
Some things in my family, for example, my sister doesn't have a very good relationship with my mother. That's maybe something that is still there. There's just some conflict there. But I'm trying to keep my distance at the moment because I get on well with both of them. So maybe there will be a moment for another family constellation or something where I can also try to work on them. But for the moment, I just let them be, because also sometimes you have to set your boundaries, because it can be energy draining when you feel responsible for all of your family members. You shouldn't,
And you're not responsible. You are responsible for yourself, and
exactly.
you could only control what is within you and your mind, how you think, and then you could just hope for the best for other people.
Yeah. And so, and I feel my sister is not ready for this yet. And even when I told her about our half cousin that I discovered in London, she wasn't interested. I'm like, okay, she doesn't seem interested. It's surprising, but maybe she's not ready yet, and it's okay.
Because it's a whole layer of ancestry there in relation to your dad.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So I'm excited about next
excited
week.
For you.
I'll tell you how I will go. But
awesome.
yeah. Also, I'm going to meet some friends from Bali next week in London as well. So it's going to be a huge reunion.
Oh, sweet. Kirsty and no.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and Sam. Yeah, exactly. We don't have to say all the next.
Yeah. So awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being on. Thank you for coming on. Is there anywhere that the audience could reach you? Like, I'm going to put your links below, and like your Instagram. I guess I'll put it in the description.
Exactly. I give you my social media handles. I also give you my website if they want to see a little bit more about me as a coach and my company. I give you all of it. And if it resonates with anyone, please get in touch. I'd be happy. And especially for this Alps trip, I'm so excited. If there's any woman here that would love to walk in the Alps.
I would love to walk in the end of May. Okay.
No, sorry, end of June, not end of May. End of June, beginning of July.
Okay.
Tell me, if you're in.
Awesome.
Because I already have a group of 5 people that signed up. So they're already fully signed up, and I have 5 more places available. Again, it's not a success for me if I fill these places, The success for me is to do it.
Right.
To fulfill my dream. I'm already happy because that's already the success. I decided to do it. I'm going to do it. I would do it with 1 participant. You see what I mean?
It's not about the making of the, it's not about the profit. It's about the experience and the bringing the people together in that experience.
And I already have 5 people who told me they would have loved to come. If I do it again next year, they're in. So that's why this year is a pilot project. I'm doing it. I want to get the experience. If I see this is a format that resonates with a lot of people and can give so much joy to others and be a positive experience for them, I'm definitely going to repeat it. And I already have some other trails that I found. Like, for example, there's one around the Mont Blanc between 3 countries that also looks amazing, that you have to book earlier, like in October, November. So if this one goes well, I'm definitely going to do another one next year.
So you walk between these huts that are already, okay.
They can even transport your luggage. This is the good thing. I found a route or a trail where you don't have to be with a lot of kilos on your back. They will bring it from hut to hut. And the last day we go to a spa in the Alps
for the muscles.
Exactly, just to relax. As a treat on the last day, we'll get a relaxed day.
That sounds awesome. It's just like the Compostela in Spain.
Yeah, I've never done that one either, but I have friends who did. And I think just, to take a week off and walk in nature, this is so great. And this is something I've been dreaming about for a long time. And it never worked out because my kids were smaller. Now they're growing older. And, I just didn't feel like I could give myself the permission for a week off while I was already traveling for work as well. It felt like it wasn't the right thing to do. Even Bali last year was the first time ever that I said I'm going to take a week off for myself, and it's not related to a work project.
Wow. And it was worth it?
That was a big step for me. Was a big step, and obviously they were like, yeah, you're going to this Bali thing, and then you're sending the nice pictures. But then I think, I don't mind. They're teenagers. In the end, I hope I can be a role model for them as well. I hope they will realize they don't have to choose between, family and job, or, they can even themselves. I think, you have to bring it all together, and some self-care is super important, because then you come back renewed and with, new energy that you can give back to all the others. And that's what
Definitely.
happened after
And the
Bali.
issue was that you didn't bring them, kind of thing, or?
Yeah. They felt like, oh, you're going on such a nice trip without us. And I explained to them that, look, this is not even like a tourism trip. This is like hard personal work. I'm going there because I want to be on my own and work on my stuff for a week. But yeah, they were a bit jealous.
Right. And they're going to go on many trips probably without you in their lives.
It doesn't.
So you're
And
fine.
they're very young, they have their whole life in front of them. It's just that sometimes they make remarks, and it even happens when I sometimes go for work. And I post whatever. The other day I had a trip to the Dominican Republic with work. Great, not the worst destination to go to.
Yeah.
And then I posted a video of myself having a nice cocktail at the beach after work.
Sounds
so
good.
they think, so you're going again for this work trip, or you're going again to this trip, and then you're next to the swimming pool and you're doing this. And they just realize this is my price, because I've worked a lot and it's at the end of the day. But I'm sure in the end it will inspire them. So I'm not worried about that. I'm saying that with a laugh. I think they're allowed to be jealous and at the same time be inspired for their own life, that they may find a job as well, or a way of working that allows them to travel and experience new things.
Because that was a big part of your job is traveling, right? And that's why, right?
It depends. Now it's, for example, more or less once a month, but there have been periods where I had to go twice a month, and that's a bit tiring for the whole family. So I'm reducing it now. Lately, I've tried to reduce it. And the good thing is also technology is making it possible that many meetings don't have to be on site any longer, which is good.
Wow. Awesome. And also, like, jealousy is really, like, if you flip it around, it's motivation or it's inspiration, right, to do stuff. So it's just a feeling that should be flipped around.
And when it's your daughters, you can deal with it, I think.
Control without any control, right? But thank you for being on this show.
Thanks so much. It was really great speaking with you.
And we'll see you guys next time on the Vibe Hire with Gigi podcast. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.